Your legacy is written in your children and their children's children's lives. And so let's be smart and equitable as we think about measure of a man. Let's think with the end in mind. And so I'm just spurring you on to not answer this too knee-jerk quickly and emotionally based on what you're caught up in now. Think longer term just a moment. Otherwise, you're going to land at all kinds of unpredictable places at the end of your life that you didn't plan on going to. So pause. What in the world does it mean to live a life that is worthy of your calling?
Hey guys, Evan Temple here. You're watching Measure of Man. John's talking about some serious stuff, but if you want some serious gear, head on over to sportsmansguide.com. We've got a whole curated section. Click on the menu, head down to Warrior Poet Society. We've even got the gun in there, the War Poet. It's awesome. And then make sure sportsmansguide.com and check out with code WARPOET. Back to the show.
So recently I overheard two buddies talking about this other dude who extremely wealthy. They're trying to figure out his worth. So one asked the other, hey, what is he worth? And then they were trying to calculate it up. And I'm just reading a book on the periphery here, and something in me, the intense part of John, kind of creeps up the back of my spine, grabs my brain and turns my head toward him and immediately interjects myself in the conversation. I'm like, well, I hope he's worth more than money, was my snide comment. And I can't be quiet because it's such an irritating question. And they immediately have kind of like, yo, no, I was just using the common terminology. And they're good dudes and I like them. But still, it sticks with me whenever we define somebody's success or the measure of a man or their worth by purely monetary means. I'm like, really? You're worth only money? That's so impoverished. As the early church father Augustine said, earthly riches are filled with poverty. And I mean, that really sticks out to me. And so if I poised it to you, and now that you're primed for it, you probably won't, but if I just kind of caught you fresh and said, hey, picture a really, really successful person. Would you picture like just huge house, lots of money? Or would you immediately go to, what would you picture first? Would it be like big family and everybody's getting together happily? Is it a haughty wife on his shoulder? Or is it really fit and good health? What do you picture for success? Or maybe it's a melting pot, but what popped in your brain first and then second? And that kind of leads you to figure out, how do you really value stuff, and what do you think is a successful man? What is the measure of a man? And I think if you miss this, your life is just not going to be a very successful one. Because I'm tired of hearing of people that are huge success, huge worth, and really maybe they've got a few divorces under their belt already, and people don't really like them. And, it's really just, they make a lot of money. I'm like, man, that's just not success to me. I know it is to most of the world. All the thing, money. And money's good. I mean, don't get me wrong. You like money. I like money. You need money to survive, but there's so much more. And so what I wanted to do is beg the question of, what in the world does it mean to be successful? Now, what do you actually value, and how do you measure that? And I think a warring culture, the success of a person is how good of a warrior they are. I lived overseas in Central America for years, and to a younger man, it was all based on how good of a soccer player you were. If you were a good soccer player, you were a man. In the corporate world, it always comes down to net worth, and that's whether you're successful or not. So ultimately, no one's really going to be able to define what successful measure of a man is for you. You got to be able to do that. For my part, I'm informed by a Christian worldview. Don't check out. This doesn't turn into a Christian sermon or anything. It's just kind of, that's the lens I see the world. And I figure since God made man, God decides what man is and what he isn't. And so there's a few different places, 5 different times in the New Testament where it says, live a life worthy of your calling. And whether you like Bible or not, that's dude, pause on that. Live a life worthy of your calling. And I've stewed on that verse a lot. It's in Ephesians 4 is the main one I'm thinking of. I've thought about that a lot. What in the world does it mean to live a life that is worthy of your calling? And I think what it is, it's beckoning to successful living. That's exactly what it is. And I've come down to this. I believe that it is the measure of a man comes down to what priorities that you set for yourself, And how well do you balance between those priorities? And remember, a 20-something-year-old is going to answer very, very differently from somebody who's much older. My grandfather turned 90 today. And I guarantee you he's going to be answering that question, what is most important? He's going to answer that wildly different than a guy in his 30s. Up in career, you imagine your vocation is everything, and it's just not. As you get older, especially grandparent or great-grandparents, your legacy is written in your children and their children's children's lives. And so let's be smart and equitable as we think about measure of a man. Let's think with the end in mind. And so I'm just spurring you on to not answer this too knee-jerk quickly and emotionally based on what you're caught up in now. Think longer term just a moment. Otherwise, you're going to land at all kinds of unpredictable places at the end of your life that you didn't plan on going to. So pause, young poets and philosophers. This is important to hash out. So returning, Ephesians 4:1, live a life worthy of the calling you've received. If I've decided, hey, listen, faith is the most important. I want to be like Jesus. That's the most important thing. And so if I just crush it in every other area of life, but I look nothing like Jesus, now or at the end of my life, I'm a failure. I'm failing. And by the way, I'm failing hardcore. The more you know about Jesus, the more you know if you try to be like him, you'll be nothing like him still. And I'm nothing like Jesus. Just there you go. That's part of my journey. So one is the faith aspect. I'm trying. I'm a living failure. I'm going to be better tomorrow, though. Next thing is family aspect, and it starts with your spouse. Man, you got to really nail that aspect right. No happily ever after happens accidentally, and you got to pour lots of time and intentionality, remembering loving is a verb, and you got to really focus on that relationship, or it will absolutely positively die of neglect. Kids as well. I really want my kids to know me and to spend lots of time making memories. Vocation, I want to be a part of something bigger than me, and I want to make an impact. That's what we're doing here, Warrior Poet Society. I'm so honored, I swear, I'm so honored to be among you. Thanks so much for being with me on this journey, which really started out as a personal movement that I invited a lot of people into, and that's what Warrior Poets are. We're on a journey. We have a certain type of ethos, live for higher purpose, ready to sacrifice in the defense of others. It's a noble movement, and I'm proud to be on that with you. And this is my vocation. I'm also going to make some money from it. You need to be able to earn, right? And so that I can be a charitable and a good provider, and so that's good as well. Also, I want to be a good protector, and so you see my priorities balancing out. And so I'm going to relegate a certain amount of time toward training myself physically and mentally, so that I can be the best protector that I possibly can. Another thing, I want to be able to serve others. I do this already, and by the way, this is not in a particular order at this point, but I want to be able to serve in my church and love on other people and be a force for good in the community. And so you see all of my different priorities. Now, if I maximize any one of these at the expense of the others, I'm cooked. And whereas some folks would naively come and say, you got to give everything 110%. And if you do some quick math, you'll realize that it doesn't check out. You can't give 110% to anything. And if you gave 100% to one thing, then it's going to be borrowing time from everything else. I said this in a different video that when I was getting close to graduating college, I shift my focus from trying to make all A's, which I'd been really trained to do. Make all A's, make all A's. That's a good thing. And I said, I don't think that's a good thing. I think all B's is a good thing. I want to make all B's, straight B's. And to you listening in, you're kind of like, what? You want to make B? Yes, correct. I don't want to make the A's. If I'm doing A's, that means I'm spending too much time on that in that season of life. Some college kids will be like, yeah. I'm like, dude, if you're not working full time and you got a family and you're engaged in other activities, nope. Make A's, bro. Don't make the excuse. But lean in. In that season of life, I was working full time, well over 40, 50 hours a week. So I was really killing it. I had a family. I lived far away. I was a full-time college student, and I was also engaged in different types of ministry. And so I was tapped out. And as I was running after these A's, and I didn't have a master's degree I was preparing for, I wasn't going to take the bar or MCATs or anything. There was no reason why I really needed to get that A's, where in those vocations, you better make all A's. I didn't have that. I was getting a business degree. And so I'm like, nope, B's is the right way to go. And I downshifted one priority so that I could balance more equitably, because ultimately the success of a man or female, whatever. The success of a person is dictated on what values you set, what is most important to you, and how well can you balance all those things. You want all the different pieces to be good. As I'm saying all this, I realize I've said pieces of this in other videos, but even so, there's some messages that we need over and over. I need this message over and over. A lot of times in life, it's not that I need to learn the next new big thing that unlocks something I didn't understand. I think it's more of I'm weak and I need to become stronger and more intentional, more disciplined, more motivated, and kinder and more clever. I need to just focus on the stuff I already know, right? And so at worst, this serves as a good reminder, a good rallying up as we do together. And at best, you learn something really important, a nugget in there. This is the point of the video where I ask you to share. Big tech, really antithetical to our worldview, my ideology. And so really ask you to share, helps. Make sure you like and comment down below for the algorithm. Also, if you want to help us out, please consider shopping our website. We got all kinds of cool stuff there. It's a curated section of cool protector gear. If it's on our site, it's really good. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Train hard, train smart, and stay free. And let's grow together, right? That's a good thing. See you guys.
Today we're going to be training with Shuki Dre.
Intercept and cut the muscle. Now that you understand what knife can do, now we can truly start the classes.
One of the toughest guys I know. Well, he's able to do almost everything, you know. He's great with a knife. It was the guy who made me look like if I was a 5-year-old kid when I moved with him. He can put you into a very deep pain. I know you guys are gonna enjoy his masterclass.